What's the dick pic standard, and what could it mean for you? My name is Allison, and these are my adventures on the platform formerly known as Twitter. I have a real doozy for you today, a real humdinger, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed taking part in this very, very interesting activity. So let's begin with a tweet by Jessica, who says, "Women figured out they don't need men, and men are scared because now they have to actually have something to offer to get our attention." So throughout all of human history, men didn't have to have something on offer to get women's attention. But now suddenly they do. Saying women prefer the company of cats over the company of men is not an insult to women. It is an insult to men. The insecurity is glaring. And to this, TDHBXG, thank you for creating an unpronounceable acronym for a Twitter handle. I'm pointing out the reality that women requested things and their wishes were granted in the West. They didn't figure anything out or fight for anything. Men simply gave them what they asked for. Women are always overestimating their net contributions. Well, it's a fairly decent point, considering that feminists say that men have all the power to the point where they control women's very thoughts and decisions. So in that context, women didn't get anything without men giving it to them. Noel responds, "Why did women have to request those things in the first place? Why didn't women already have them?" Just to give a bit of context, we're talking about modern jobs, okay? So we're talking about air-conditioned, white-collar jobs, bureaucratic jobs, jobs that you can do in the relative comfort of the indoors. The indoors being something that didn't really exist throughout most of human history. Throughout most of human history, there was no reliable indoor heating or plumbing. There was no real reliable things like screen doors to keep out biting insects. So the indoors was like this marginally, like it's not even as comfortable as it is today. It's pretty damn uncomfortable, but at least for the most part, there weren't bears in it or mosquitoes or extreme temperature shifts. So, and that's the idea that the indoors encompasses an entire city is pretty new. Because if you think about it, that temperature-controlled indoors that we all enjoy is only about maybe a century old. Before then, even in modern, so-called modern buildings, pre- and post-industrial buildings, you would still be subject to the extremes of heat and cold. You might not actually have indoor plumbing. You certainly wouldn't have electricity until after the Industrial Revolution, and in some places, not even after. So the whole concept of an indoor space, a comfortable indoor space, is something that men developed, right? And this is my response to why did women have to request those things in the first place? Why didn't women already have them? Throughout most of history, this is my response, before air-conditioned offices, work was either pulling something, pushing something, or lifting something in blazing heat or blistering cold while being preyed upon by bandits and biting insects. You didn't have them because men hadn't made them yet. Literally. The reason why women often stayed at home is because they had access to things like toilet facilities, relative comfort. They weren't dealing with extremes of hot and cold because even though they didn't have electricity, they did have hearths. So when this whole concept came about was when we had the Industrial Revolution. As far as I can tell, the Industrial Revolution was not just innovated by men, it was also sacrificed for by men. I don't think we would have had it. Even if women were able to invent all of the mechanical apparatus of the Industrial Revolution, if women had to be sacrificed the way men had to be to bring it about, I don't think it would have happened. Societies just don't have the stomach to see dead women. If there was an industry that requires a per capita amount of dead women that's significantly higher than what we have currently, I don't think we would have done it. We don't like sacrificing women for obvious reasons because they are indeed a bottleneck on reproduction and other reasons. And Noel says, "Did they make them with their penises?" And I respond, "That would be even more impressive if they had. A dog and his boy, theater girl, will always demand the last word." Very mutable. Noel says, "Weird. Honey Badger is the one who replied to a tweet from March on Christmas Eve, like a weirdo." And Honey Pet, and I respond with, and you're the ghost of Christmas future. And she does a ghosty comment. Actually, this isn't where this was. Huh. So this all continues. Somehow, oh yes, Noelle says, not with their penises though. Brawler responds, we put in the actual work that matters in the world with our penises swinging from side to side, clapping against our thighs. Y'all stand around with vaginas in hand doing nothing. The point you're trying to make is non-existence, much like female geniuses. Oof. Noelle responds, you need some sex ed, kiddo. Okay, this is about where I come in. Because somebody mentions dick pics, because we're talking about dicks, because a feminist brought it up. And Noelle goes on to say that she has a whole folder of dick pics. So we're getting to the meat of the matter here. I'm just skipping over some stuff that's probably slightly irrelevant. And Brawler responds, why do you save dick pics in a folder? Fucking pervert, lol. And Noelle responds, because every time I get a new one, I send all of them back. Brawler says, you know, you probably should have some minor's dick in your shit. That's child porn. You should just delete everything instead of keeping them to goon. The real reason you keep them, let's be honest. And Laura Lee injects herself and says, you aren't clever. Because certainly saying those words makes them true. And I respond with, this isn't cleverness. He's doing her a favor. You know, don't spread around child porn, okay? Don't even spread around stuff that could possibly be child porn. And in fact, isn't that revenge porn? Like, isn't that spreading revenge? Like, if you are taking men's nudes and then spreading them around to people they didn't consent to have them spread to, is that not considered a crime? Even if there aren't any minors in that folder of dick pics that she keeps. And Noelle responds to me, did you get picked? And I respond with, apparently not, since I received no dick pics and you are inundated with them. And Noelle says, getting dick pics isn't a good thing. Okay, I'm just going to pause here and try to unpack this. Noelle says, did you get picked? As if I would prioritize that. And then I respond with, apparently not, because I haven't received dick pics like you, which is presumably an aspect of getting picked as a woman. And then she responds with, getting dick pics isn't a good thing. Okay. And then I respond to that with, for you, reveal your secrets, wench. Noelle said, for anyone, I don't have secrets. And I respond with, well, I haven't received dick pics and you've received many. What's the difference? Reveal your secrets. I don't know, she responds. What an incredibly helpless person. I mean, you're living an experience and you have no interest in finding out why. And you don't want to know. Don't you want to stop the dick pics? I really do want to know. I do not enjoy sexual harassment. Do you? And I respond with, then let's find out. What are you doing different than me? If you don't engage with this line of inquiry, you're choosing to ignore a potential solution. And Noelle says, I leave the house and I don't hang out with losers on Discord. Is that it? Okay, so now, you notice what just happened? Now she is making receiving dick pics some kind of criteria, or it's a part of her being less of a loser than I am. She said that. There's no getting dick pics isn't a good thing, and yet here it is, a marker of not being a loser if you're a woman. So, and this is what I respond with, so that's what's sending dick pics your way, by not hanging out with losers. She responds with, no idea. How do you have a conversation with somebody who immediately disavows the last thing that they said? It's like conversation roulette. All right, so I respond with, literally you're saying you get dick pics because you leave the house and don't hang out with losers. You're also trying to make the receipt of dick pics something that makes you superior to me. Because she does things that make her superior, she receives dick pics. A dick pic standard, if you will. No, I'm not. I told you multiple times that I wish I didn't get them. Seriously, learn how to read. And I respond with, well, this is what you said. I leave the house and don't hang with losers on Discord. That's why I receive dick pics. And she responds with, that was me answering your question about what I do differently than you. You're very dumb. And I respond with, yes, in the context of why you receive dick pics, and I don't. You just couldn't help insulting me, even when it destroys your whole position. So she's saying, because she isn't a loser, she receives dick pics. So receiving dick pics becomes an indicator of not being a loser. Specifically, not hanging out with losers on Discord and going out, right? So instead of touch grass, apparently it's touch peen. But, you know, that doesn't mean that she's making her receipt of dick pics make her better than me somehow, even though that's exactly what she's saying. So that is the dick pic standard, at least from Noelle. And let me see if there's anything further. Oh, all right. So Noelle says, and this is response to Brawler helpfully pointing out that this might be a crime to send people's nudes to other people that they didn't consent to. And Noelle says, no one likes looking at dicks. Presumably gay people do. Gay men. But, you know. And Laura Lee returns and says, can confirm. And I say, I have never in my life received a dick pic. Where are you all? And what are you doing that this is common? What are you guys doing? Like, is there some kind of dick pic ululation or like sign that you have to put out and then you start receiving them that apparently I have never done? Noelle says, we are on Earth. Hey, well, it's definitely been sort of a fantasy of mine to go out and explore the cosmos. Now, I guess I get to by virtue of this woman's perception of reality. Not really. Not really. Okay. And I said, yes, so am I. Not one dick pic. Something is fishy. And she says, Noelle, yeah, you're lucky. So Noelle proposes that not only do I not get dick pics because I am a loser that never leaves Discord, but also that I'm lucky. And I respond with, nope, I don't think it's luck since I'm among men substantially more than you. No dick pics though. And Laura Lee comes back because we always need a freaking seagull. Laura Lee says, they think you're a guy. And this is the second feminist who apparently sees the world through the dick pic standard. Because men don't send dick pics to guys, right? And being a guy is what they're leveling at me as an insult. Because I'm a loser because I look like a guy. I'm a loser because I hang out with losers on Discord. I'm a loser because I never leave my house, etc. I'm a loser because I don't receive dick pics. And then I respond with, but also, doesn't that mean you and the other chick who hates Saskatchewan are more desirable than my androgynous man-seeming self? And that's in response to the dick pic standard. So they've essentially established that they receive dick pics because they're more desirable. The dick pic standard, everyone. There you go. At the same time as they want to say that it's a horrible thing to receive a dick pic, but also it's the worst thing ever to be someone like me who receives none. Good Lord. Good freaking Lord. All right. I'm not going to belabor this. There you go. It's a short one. Hopefully you found it edifying to explore the dick pic standard and all of the various elements of thought that go into it. Anyway, thank you for your kind attention. It is a bit of an attrition sort of thing, isn't it? Thank you for your kind attention. Have a lovely evening, afternoon, second breakfast, third brunch, whatever you're doing, wherever you are. I hope you're enjoying yourself. Thank you.